while the bots are playing and the simulation is going, there is a human in the loop. So if you have any questions, go for it. Hey, go for the chat and smash that like button.
Okay, let's unpack this. The human brain. I mean, it's the ultimate black box, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
A whole universe of electrical storms, memories, consciousness, and governed by principles we're really only just starting to get a handle on.
Absolutely. It's incredibly complex.
Yeah, like imagine trying to predict something as simple as, well, a specific thought someone might have.
Yeah.
It's almost unimaginable, that challenge. Yet we're, relentlessly trying to unlock its secrets. We're using everything from really cutting-edge AI to, well, sometimes surprisingly low-tech simulations.
Right.
But what happens when these tools we build to understand the brain actually start to redefine what it means to be human?
Yeah.
That's what we're diving into today, this fascinating, complex, and yet sometimes unsettling journey. We're focusing on epilepsy specifically, and the incredible ways technology is trying to, quote, demystify the brain 1 millisecond at a time.
It's a great focus point.
So our mission here in this deep dive is to pull out the key nuggets from the sources you've provided, understand how we're simulating, treating, maybe even rewiring the brain.
And then face those big, sometimes quite ironic questions that all this progress brings up.
And what's truly fascinating here, I think, is just how far we've come. From basic statistics to machines that learn from their own mistakes at unbelievable speed.
Yeah.
And this evolution has profound implications, especially for conditions like epilepsy, where predictability, well, that's often the biggest hurdle.
Absolutely. So let's start there. With understanding these electrical storms, some brains experience epilepsy. Basically, it's a central nervous system disorder.
Right. Characterized by hyperactivity, an imbalance between excitation and inhibition.
Exactly. Imagine your brain like a bustling city, right? Millions of signals like cars moving on roads. Excitation is the green lights go, pathways open. Inhibition, that's the red lights, the traffic cops, making sure things stop when they should, preventing pileups, keeping flow.
A necessary control. Right. But in epilepsy, those red lights, the healthy inhibitory bits, they're damaged or just not working right. You get this uncontrolled cascade, this traffic jam of electrical activity.
Which the sources describe as electrical storms, sometimes even hurricanes. It's a powerful analogy.
It really is. And these aren't rare events, are they?
No, not at all. The scale is significant. Back in 2015, about 3.4 million people in the U.S., so 1.2% of the population, were living with epilepsy.
Wow.
And what might truly surprise you is the lifetime risk of having at least one seizure. It's about 4%, roughly 1 in 25 people.
1 in 25. That's much more common than I think most people realize.
Precisely. And that unpredictability is why it's such a persistent challenge, especially because a third of cases become drug resistant.
A third.
Yeah. This is often called refractory epilepsy. It's so widespread, so tricky to treat, that new medications, they're often benchmarked just for seizure reduction, not necessarily complete freedom from seizures.
So just making the storms less severe, not stopping them entirely.
In many cases, yes. And for these complex, drug-resistant situations, doctors often need more invasive methods, things like intracranial EEG or IEG.
Okay.
That helps them pinpoint exactly where the seizures are starting. It provides, as one source puts it, unprecedented time and spatial resolutions. We're talking milliseconds and millimeters.
So an incredibly detailed map of the storm's origin.
Exactly. Almost microscopic, seeing the specific neurons that are misfiring.
Okay, so here's where the plot thickens, right? Because to handle that level of detail, that complexity, we're bringing in the big guns. Artificial intelligence.
AI.
And the whole concept, AI and machine learning, it arguably sparked after World War II, didn't it? With code breaking, things like Enigma, the bomb machine.
Word computation, yeah.
By 1951, you had the Ferranti Mark I mastering checkers. It's just wild to think about that trajectory, from mechanical calculators to this.
It really is. And AI, at its core, it's about creating intelligent machines, using sophisticated programming, computational methods.
Like superpowered pattern recognition.
You could say that. Mathematical functions on steroids, maybe? Capable of spotting subtle patterns, predicting outcomes way faster than any human could.
Okay.
And then there's deep learning. That's a more advanced type of AI.
Right, that mimics the brain itself.
In a way, yes. It uses these hierarchical neural networks. And instead of being programmed for every single possibility, it learns from its mistakes. It refines its understanding iteratively.
How fast does it learn?
At the speed of electrical circuits, as one source puts it. So incredibly quickly.
And it's achieved some pretty impressive things already.
Definitely.
Famously beating the world champion in Go, that incredibly complex game.
Right.
But more importantly, for diagnosing some specific diseases, it's apparently already matching experienced physicians, medium or even senior level.
Yes. That's where the real impact lies. It's not just games.
It's life-changing stuff.
And that's exactly where the brain-computer interface, the BCI, comes for play.
Okay, BCI. Define that for us quickly.
So a BCI is essentially a device that reads brain activity and translates it, turns it into a message or a command for a computer.
Got it.
When you combine that with AI, you get this incredibly detailed picture of brain activity. It's utterly transformative for epilepsy care.
How so? Give us some examples.
Well, current examples include things like responsive neurostimulation, RNS systems. NeuroPace is one brand.
Okay.
These aren't just diagnostic, they're devices implanted in the brain. They can detect a seizure just as it's starting
Wow.
and deliver tiny electrical currents within seconds to stop it, or at least lessen it significantly.
Real-time intervention, like an internal firefighter for those electrical storms.
Exactly, an internal traffic cop, maybe.
Yeah.
Another amazing example is gamma mapping.
Gamma mapping.
Yeah. This used to be a really laborious process. It could take days. You're trying to map out critical brain areas, language, motor control before surgery so you don't damage them.
Right. Crucial but slow.
Very slow. Now, with AI and BCI working together, they can get comprehensive results in under 30 minutes.
Under 30 minutes. Down from days. That's revolutionary for patient care, surely.
It absolutely is. And think about the data involved. That intracranial EEG we mentioned. It generates data at a rate of 43 books per second.
43
Oh.
books every second.
Yep. Enough info to fill a small library constantly. It's mind-boggling.
I can't even picture that amount of data.
Exactly. And it's far beyond what any single neurologist could possibly process manually. But it's perfect for AI.
Right. AI thrives on that scale.
Precisely. It allows the AI to pinpoint seizure origins, identify subtle patterns with incredible accuracy. This leads to much better treatment plans, often even before resorting to invasive surgery.
So, stepping back a bit, what does this mean for medicine more broadly? One of our sources, a doctor, seems convinced AI should just take over a lot of these time-consuming tasks.
Well, it's fascinating, isn't it? AI excels at picking up on all those subtle, weak features, things often called medical art.
The intuitive stuff.
Exactly. The patterns a really experienced doctor might sense, but can't easily quantify or explain. AI can analyze those across vast data sets.
Okay.
And this could improve almost everything, from surgery in difficult environments like war zones to basic diagnoses in underserved areas. It could potentially democratize expertise.
Democratize expertise and, as the source puts it, automate drudgery.
Chuckle slightly. Yes, automate drudgery.
Which sounds great for freeing up doctors' time.
Yeah.
But when you talk about medical art or those human aspects, does automating the analysis risk losing something? Could healthcare become too efficient, maybe lose some of that human connection?
That is a critical question. It's the balance we need to find. The hope, I think, is that it frees up clinicians to actually engage more deeply with patients. On an emotional level, understanding their lives, personalizing care.
Instead of being buried in data.
Right, instead of administrative tasks or sifting through terabytes of EEG data. But ensuring technology serves that human connection rather than replacing it where it's vital. That's the ongoing challenge. It requires conscious effort and dialogue.
It definitely does. Okay, so on one hand, we've got AI churning through terabytes, pushing the absolute limits of neural understanding. And then, and this is where the irony kicks in beautifully, we have these incredibly ingenious, surprisingly effective, and honestly quite amusing low-tech ways to simulate seizures.
It's quite the contrast, but it speaks to human ingenuity, doesn't it, across the whole spectrum?
It really does. So tell us about these low-tech simulations.
Well, there are general educational tools first.
Right.
Like the brain seizure simulation. It visualizes neurons as little particles changing color, moving, showing localization, intensity, the different phases.
A simplified visual model for learning.
Exactly. An artistic interpretation, you might say. Not AI, but still very effective for teaching the basic concepts.
And then it gets more hands-on, more immersive.
It does, especially using virtual reality, VR. There's compelling neuroscience research showing our brains treat VR experiences almost like real life.
Really? So what you do in VR predicts how you'd act in reality?
To a strong degree, yes. It makes VR an incredibly powerful training tool. One study, for instance, looked at a VR program for parents, VRESMEP, it was called.
Okay.
It successfully boosted parents' knowledge and skills in managing their child's seizures. That's huge.
Wow, empowering parents directly.
Exactly. And for nursing students, simulation training didn't just improve knowledge and skills, it also improved their positive attitudes towards epilepsy.
That's fascinating. Affecting empathy and confidence, not just technical skill.
Right.
Ties back to that human connection we were talking about.
Precisely. It impacts the whole approach to care.
Okay, but now, let's get to maybe the most wonderfully absurd example. The super low-cost seizure simulation for mannequins.
Ah, yes. The Mannequin challenge.
Right, trying to train medical staff, maybe in places with limited resources.
Yeah.
In the first attempts, apparently, they just involved shaking the mannequin's head.
Chuckles, which, as the source notes, was quite distracting. And probably not very realistic.
You think? So then came the, let's call it, innovative approach.
Indeed. What did they do?
Okay, get this. They put mobile phones, set to vibrate, under the mannequin's upper arms, hidden in the sleeves.
For tactile feedback, simulating tremors.
Exactly. Tactile fidelity via phone buzz.
Yeah.
And for the legs, they used unwaxed sewing linen thread.
Thread.
Looped between the ankles and manually pulled by a facilitator standing nearby.
Laughs.
Yeah.
They were literally pulling strings to simulate a seizure.
Literally pulling strings.
Yeah.
It's genius in its sheer resourcefulness, but also just brilliantly comical.
It really highlights that need for functional fidelity, doesn't it? Even if you can't get perfect physical realism, you create enough cues for the brain to engage and learn.
And apparently it worked. Experts admitted the vibration frequency wasn't quite right, obviously, but the participants, they found it realistic, emotionally engaging even. What does that tell you? Because for me, it says something about our brain's ability to just suspend disbelief, to learn even when we know it's just a phone and some thread.
That's a fantastic point. It speaks volumes about our capacity for immersion, for learning from models that are functionally useful, even if imperfect. Maybe perfect physical fidelity isn't always the most crucial thing.
Maybe not. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How much can we learn from simple models if they capture the core function? It's a reminder that, sometimes the simplest hacks are surprisingly effective.
Tapping into fundamental learning mechanisms.
Yeah. Of course, this low-tech marvel wasn't perfect. The source notes, the seizure activity was limited to the limbs only.
Right.
And clenching of teeth, tongue bite, and creation of a difficult airway could also be incorporated.
Chuckles. Okay, imagining how they'd simulate a tongue bite with thread and a phone. That's
something else, isn't it?
Yeah.
The dedication is admirable. It's
Right.
slightly terrifying.
Indeed.
Wow.
Admirable and maybe a little unsettling. But this brings us squarely to the more serious side of things.
Right. Because as we get better at this understanding, simulating, maybe even manipulating the brain with high-tech AI or low-tech string.
We hit some massive ethical walls.
Exactly. It's not just about treating disease anymore, is it? There's this looming possibility of enhancing normal brains.
Boosting memory, intelligence, creativity.
Yeah.
Going beyond the natural baseline.
And that opens a huge can of worms. Who gets access? How do you regulate it? When does enhancement become, brain doping, creating unfair advantages?
These aren't just abstract philosophical points. They force us to confront this tension between healing and enhancing. And the truth is, maybe we're not fully prepared as a society to answer them.
It feels like the tech is outpacing the ethical frameworks.
Often, yes. Take gene editing, for example. Hugely promising for diseases like Huntington's. But there are risks, unknown side effects maybe decades later, immune reactions. And even with noble intentions, there's always the potential for, alternate use, misuse, things the inventors never imagined.
Like what? How could brain augmentation be misused?
Well, think about memory enhancement. You could see military applications, right? Boosting soldiers' cognitive capabilities, creating super soldiers. It raises profound...
Definitely.
And we've already seen gene editing arguably go too far. Remember in 2018, the Chinese researcher who announced he'd used CRISPR to create the first gene-edited babies?
Vaguely, yes. To make them HIV resistant.
Purportedly, yes.
Yep.
But with potential serious off-target effects, maybe even life-shortening mutations, it was a huge controversy. A stark reminder of this ethical tightrope. Good intentions maybe, but potentially grave unintended consequences.
That's chilling. And what about the impact on our sense of self, our identity?
That's another huge area. Techniques are emerging. Using light to control neurons, optogenetics, or transcranial magnetic stimulation, PMS, These can temporarily alter brain function.
Change how the brain works, even for a short time.
Exactly. And the deeper we go, the more these interventions could potentially tweak someone's personality, their
Yep.
core identity.
So, who are you if your brain is being artificially altered?
Precisely. How much responsibility do you bear for actions taken under that influence? What's the threshold? When does manipulation cross a line where your brain isn't really yours in the same way? Is it still normal?
These are fundamental questions about personhood.
They are, and it highlights how research doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's tied to societal values, to policy. Researchers pushing boundaries know, or should know, there are potential downsides alongside the benefits. It's a constant dance. Innovation versus responsibility.
A dizzying dance, it sounds like.
Right.
We've really covered some ground today, from understanding epilepsy's complex storms to AI and BCIs crunching data at impossible speeds, and even appreciating the, let's say, unique ingenuity of the phone and string simulation.
Chuckle softly, quite the range.
We've seen tech automating drudgery, maybe even rewiring brains for the better, sometimes before surgery is even needed.
Yeah.
It really is a world where sci-fi is becoming medical fact, forcing us to rethink everything.
It is. And the journey for epilepsy treatment, it's come so far from when it was just called falling sickness. AI's integration into medicine. It's going to be transformative, there's no doubt. Advancing knowledge, democratizing expertise, allocating resources more effectively. The real question isn't if, it's when. And, maybe, how many generations until we reach what seems like the next logical, if perhaps slightly unnerving, step.
Which is?
Human-machine hybrids. Using technology seamlessly as part of ourselves, maybe even using it to overcome some of our less helpful encoded evolutionary traits.
Human-machine hybrids, mitigating our evolutionary baggage. Wow. Okay, so as we think about that future, where our brains are augmented, maybe subtly redefined by the tech we create, what does that make us? Are we just biological machines with better upgrades? Or something fundamentally different? That's definitely something to mull over until our next deep dive.
Yeah, there is a human in the loop, by the way, if you were wondering. If you have any questions, go for it. Should be live both on YouTube and LinkedIn for your convenience. As you know, we're developing this website called BioniChaos.com. It has tools around neurology, cardio, imaging, biomedical imaging, vision, hearing, EMG. So a lot of simulations, modeling, AI, obviously, as well as some game signal processing. So go check it out. Let us know what you think. Don't forget to smash that like button. Subscribe, unsubscribe. You know what you have to do.